Hello everyone and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, as you can see by the screen, it's time. Champs predictions are here. We're finally here. Super excited to get into this one. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy on YouTube. And if you're on the audio platforms, be sure to drop a follow, drop a 5-star review on there. Before we get into this one, the support on the last podcast was crazy. One of our best performing podcasts ever. The most liked one on YouTube. Up there for the most comments and up there for the most views on a podcast. We hit over 1,000 views, over 70 likes, a bunch of comments, bunch of new comments, bunch of returning commenters, and I appreciate you all. So thank you so much for that support. That was unreal, and as well as like something close to like 50 new subscribers on YouTube. So thank you guys all so much for the support. So many new people commenting that they found the podcast and they recommended it or through a search and they really enjoyed it, and those kind of comments mean the world to me. So thank you guys so much for all the support. And without further ado, let's just jump right into this. Sometimes we do a little news or something before the predictions, but this is the biggest predictions of the year. So I really want to give myself time to do what I seem to do best and just ramble about teams and talk about these matchups because, hey, it's our final predictions for the year. It sounds so wild to say that, but this is our final predictions for Vanguard. It's the biggest tournament of the year, the best tournament of the year, and we're going to make some predictions for it. And probably the most up in the air champs really in a long time, like from the champs I can think of. When I was like actually like pretty knowledgeable about what was going on, like maybe the early champs I didn't know so much, but like obviously in BO2, like you had like your Farico, your Cole were some very good teams, and Ghost, obviously Complexity in that team going into it was a heavy favorite. Even going into AW, they didn't win it, but like OpTic was viewed as like the heavy favorite. Same with BO3, you had like Envy and OpTic viewed as the heavy favorites. Even going into IW, you had some heavy favorites like OpTic. Few other teams were right up there, very good. Into World War II, they didn't win it once again, but like Rise and TK were heavy favorites. You can kind of see where this trend is going here. Black Ops 4, we had teams like United, 100 Thieves. They both made the grand final. You know, they were heavy favorites. Into MW, where teams like FaZe and Empire were heavy favorites. Of course, we saw Empire win that. And then into Cold War, where FaZe is a heavy favorite and they win it. Really, apart from World War II, where like a complete shock team wins, usually like we have an idea of like maybe like a 2 to 4 team window, especially when it was 32 teams deep. 4 teams meant more. Now 4 teams is half the champs pool, so that's obviously a little different. But back in the day with 32 teams, we had like a pool of like 2 to 4 teams that we really viewed as like, these are the teams that can win it. Maybe a dark horse can make a run like the EG team, but like most of the times it was like, here are our top 2 to 4 teams. One of these teams is going to win it, and it always happened. To be honest, at this tournament, I think maybe the only teams I don't see winning are like Ravens and Boston. I think like the other 6 teams could like legit find a way to win it, and I'm gonna get wild with my picks here. I think probably the most picked team is gonna be FaZe because they're the safest pick. They're like probably the most likely team that if you're gonna pick a team to make it to finals only, like if you were to put a gun to my head and say, hey, you know what, pick one team to make the COD Champs final, I'm going to go with FaZe. I mean, I would go with FaZe probably because like they're the safest pick, but you guys know I don't like to play it safe. I might go wild. Maybe I'll have FaZe get double first rounded. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to have that happen, but if I had to like absolutely pick the safest team, it's FaZe, but I don't like to go safe at champs because I don't know if you remember during MW, if any of you are OG listeners, but in MW, I picked the final 4 correctly. What was it? Huntsman, Empire, FaZe, and London. Like nobody had London going into it because they were like kind of cold for a while, and I just like went out on a limb and picked London because I said there's always one shock team that makes the top 4, and I don't know if I'm going to pick that today because it's really tough to have like one of those top teams get eliminated right away, but there's always one shock team that makes it like a deep Saturday runner. Now it's not Sunday anymore because only the finals on Sunday, but there's always one team that makes a shock run, so I might have some absolute shockers out there. You never know. All right, let's just dive right into it. We'll start right at the top of the bracket with probably the best matchup of the first round. I believe it is the final match. Yeah, it is the final match on the first day, Thursday of champs. It's FaZe Subliners. Quite the interesting match because FaZe, obviously the 1 seed, Subliners, obviously the 8 seed, the last seed of the tournament, but you could make an argument that these are arguably maybe the top 2 teams right now. I mean, I know Thieves are up there because they just won the last event, but for argument's sake, you could say FaZe and Subliners are maybe in top 3, top 2 teams. Like they're both incredible teams, and they have to match up round 1 because of how poor Subliners played all year, up until the roster change later in the season. I think for me, I have to go with FaZe on this one though, because it's going to be an absolute battle. I honestly think this series is going to come down to the 2-3-5 modes because I feel like I could see either team taking the hardpoints. I feel like you could also make an argument that these are maybe the 2 best hardpoint teams in the game. New York, obviously a very good hardpoint team. I really hope we get to see a bow cage in this series because FaZe obviously was like the early dominant team on Bocage and was so good, and subliners have been so dominant on Bocage recently with the new roster. So I kind of hope we get to see like a map 1 square up on Bocage and see who can win it. But to me, I don't think the hardpoints are going to be the deciding factor because I think they're both so good in hardpoint. I could easily see them splitting those. I think it's going to come down to who can win the search and destroys and the control. I think FaZe could be a very good control team. I feel like the vetoes go in favor of FaZe here. Like I still think I might favor them in a Bocage. I think it's going to go something along the lines of like FaZe maybe take maps 1 and 2 and then drop the control and take the final hardpoint, or maybe they split hardpoints. I could really easy see this going 4 or 5. I don't think it's a 3-0. I think, if you can tell, I'm leaning FaZe. So I'm going to go, man, I'm going to go 3-2 because it's Vanguard. And by the way, that's going to be a theme throughout this whole prediction. It's because it's Vanguard, because Vanguard is so random. We know usually going into a series who we believe the better team is, and like 99% of the time it doesn't seem like the better team wins. So it's kind of Vanguard in a nutshell there. But I think I'm going to be picking a lot of 3-2s because like at the last tournament we saw like every freaking match was a 3-2 basically. Like 75% of the matches are some crazy stat where like basically 3-2s. So probably a lot of 3-2s being picked here today against my normal 3-0 method where I have to pick a couple of them. But going to go 3-2 FaZe. I think this is really the matchup of the tournament because I think whoever wins this, the winner of the Royal Ravens Surge matchup, you know, maybe won't be the strongest team in a lot of people's eyes. We'll kind of get there when we get there for me. But I mean, the winner of this gets to knock down one of the best teams in the tournament to losers in round 1 and just like get them out of their way. So whoever wins this, I do think has a decent path to win the tournament because like you would figure a Royal Ravens Surge would be one of the maybe potentially easier teams if Surge don't hit their form again and Ravens look like they have on LAN. You'd figure that would be one of the easiest matchups you could have in the second round. And I mean, you win that, your winners final, your top 3, and got a very good chance to be in the driver's seat, can control your own destiny and win the tournament. But going to have FaZe winning that one 3-2. I think it's a potential tourney deciding round, though. All right. London Royal Ravens, Seattle Surge. Another weird one here, and maybe not as much of a banger as the first one, but very interesting because like London are a team that, you know, during stage 1 online, even at the LAN when they finished 3rd, we think coming out of Major 1, London are a top 3 team in the game. They're right behind FaZe and OpTic, and they're up there as a top team, and then they kind of just fall off for a couple stages. You know, Gizmo goes home. They have Harry in the roster for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, Gizmo comes back for the Stage 4 online qualifiers, and they start frying again. They go, 4-1 or 5-0 in that qualifiers, but they went 0-5 in control. And then they just kind of lay an egg at the Major, don't perform well again on LAN, and we're just left wondering about them again. And then they're Surge. They win Major 3. They look like, hey, they're about to insert themselves into the conversation for the best team in the game and make a run here down the stretch, have a good placing at Major 4, and then have potential to make a run at Champs. And then they just bottom out and they play horrible, and they get eliminated and dead last at Major 4. So don't know what to think about either of these teams. One of them is godlike on LAN as of late in London and can't play on LAN. Or godlike online, I mean, for London, and then can't play on LAN. And then you got a team like Surge who was godlike in stage 3 and then just completely falters in stage 4. Now, I have kind of a wild theory here, but I think Surge are going to win it. I think I'm going to go to a map 5 again. I think this could be a potential reverse sweep situation. I think London are just so strong in the hard points. I feel like this could be a 2-3-5 win for Surge. It's just tough because, like, if London doesn't win a hard point, it's almost impossible for them to win a series, which when I see London going against a team like Surge, it's maybe a decent matchup for them because like I would think a team like Thieves, Subliners, and FaZe for sure are all better hardpoint teams than Surge. So like Surge isn't a terrible matchup for London because of the fact that like I think there are better hardpoint teams than them, if that makes sense. So I feel like London has to win 2 hardpoints in every series in order to win it because their control is abysmal. They're maybe the worst control team at Champs, and their search and destroy, especially on certain maps. I know my boy Alfie on Twitter was kind of exposing that, and I can't remember what map it is. Is it Berlin? Or is it Boca? I can't remember what it is, but one of the maps on Search and Destroy, Ravens are like abysmal at. They cannot win it. So basically, they're like left, and then they have their auto veto, and they're basically left with like one Search and Destroy map a series that they're gonna end up being horrible on. So they have one search map they're horrible on. They're not really that good at any search maps to begin with, and they're awful at control. Very good hardpoint team though. So if they lose a hardpoint, I don't think you can rely on them to win either a search and a control or 2 searches. That's very tough to rely on. So I just want to give Surge the 3-2 edge here because I believe there's a chance they win a hardpoint, and I favor them in both searches and a control. So from that standpoint, I feel like between those maps, they're going to be able to find a way to sneak out 3 of them, whether it's 2-3-5 or they win a hardpoint. I like Surge in a 3-2. setting up a very interesting matchup, and we'll get to that one in a bit. Down to the bottom half of winners round 1 in the winners bracket here. OpTic Ultra, a rematch of what we saw at the last major, where, to be honest, Ultra probably should have won if Cammy doesn't get world starred, like going into like the top grandma's hop up on Bow Cage by Shotzzy. Maybe they win. There's a couple interesting gunfights that go OpTic's way. They win in a game 5 round 11, a series that could have very easily gone Ultra's way, and OpTic would have been eliminated, and we're maybe not talking about them as much. To me, we're down in this bottom section. We've got Thieves, OpTic, both potential tournament winners. We've got FaZe subliners, even Surge potential tournament winners up here. Maybe the only team down here I can't see winning, like I said, is Boston. So it's all over the place. I think I'm going to go OpTic in this Ultra matchup, though. I think I like him in a 3-1. This is another series where I favor Ultra. You know, I always say this. I'm pretty much always going to favor Ultra in the Search and Destroy, whatever it is about them. I just love their Search and Destroy. I love their teamwork. I favor OpTic in the respawns here, and I have a feeling about OpTic this tournament. I have a feeling we might see a repeat top 4, or have a chance to maybe see a repeat top 4 of what we saw at the last major with OpTic, Thieves, FaZe, and subliners. Although it's going to be tough if I have subliners getting knocked down to losers in round 1. But I don't know. I have a feeling about OpTic this tournament that they're going to play well and they're going to come out hot. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like they're the better team than Ultra. We saw them beat them last time. Granted, like I said, easily could have gone Ultra's way, but I feel like OpTic's going to improve their control. I favor them in hardpoints, and I do think that they're still a good Search and Destroy team, and I think they've been putting in the work to continue improving that. It's just a matter of their control for me. If OpTic's control shows up, and it doesn't have to look as good as it did in Major 1, because that's probably some of the best we've seen a team look in control pretty much this entire season at any point. So it doesn't have to come out and be that good, but if they can get their control to even like a 55%, like a 50% win rate, like they 50-50 it with their ability to play Search and Hardpoint, I feel like they have a chance to make a run and win this whole thing. That's why I'm going with OpTic 3-1. I just think they're the better team over Ultra. Granted, at Champs, best team doesn't always win because wild things happen. In the bottom match, we got Breach versus Thieves. You guys kind of know how I feel about this one. I kind of have Breach as one of my bottom teams here, although I do think that they're very good at keeping series competitive. I feel like they are able to take a map off Thieves. I'm not really sure which one. I feel like the Search and Destroy is a good candidate. I feel like they have a chance to take the control as well, as long as they veto out Berlin and maybe get Thieves on more of a 50-50 map for them. Maybe Breach is able to take the control. But I like Thieves over Breach because, once again, Thieves coming off a major win. They're probably got to be one of your top 2, top 3 favorites to win this tournament. Granted, back-to-back hasn't been kind to teams. I mean, OpTic finishes like, 6? Gorillas and Surge both finished dead last after their major wins directly the next tournament. So maybe Thieves will have that fall off, but I really doubt it. And I think Thieves, good matchup versus Boston because they've really dominated Boston so far this year. And I know, like, there was a story from, was I listening to the Maven and Merc podcast where they were saying, like, Zinni was backstage and not wanting to play Thieves because Thieves have just had Breach's number flat out this year. And I think they do it again, and they get them in a 3-1 fashion. Down to the losers bracket where some teams are going to get double first rounded. We've got Subliners, Ravens. That's a rematch from earlier on when Ravens beat Subliners in like Major 3, was it? To double first round Subliners once again before they ended up making their incredible run. But got Subliners, Royal Ravens. In this one, I think I still like the Subliners. Like I said, I feel like they're a team that can make a deep run. I think they have a chance to beat FaZe. And to me, I do think London has a chance to beat Surge up there, but I just think Subliners, I don't think they came all this way to get double first rounded, and London has just been kind of limping through this year ever since Major 1. They showed their sign of life in the online qualifiers for Major 4, but since then, they've just been kind of limping through, so we're going to go Subliners. I like Subliners in a 3. Let's go. I was going to go 3-1, but I like London to maybe win the map 1 hardpoint, and then Subliners to take Search control in the final hardpoint. I was going to go maybe 3-0 because I want to pick them like I always say, but we're not going to do it here. We're going to pick Subliners 3-1. Just think they're really the better team than London, and they've shown us a lot more, especially as of late over London, especially on land too. Then we've got Ultra Breach. This is a good matchup. I mean, it's two teams that I have faith in Search and Destroy, although Boston haven't been as good as of late in Search. I like both teams because I feel like these are the two teams that I feel like I'd put maybe in my power rankings for how likely I think they are to win champs. I feel like Boston's probably in the 7-8 with London, and I think Ultra's probably in that like 5th, 6th spot with the Surge. But I think that these are both teams that, once again, they're going to hang around. They're going to force on map 4, and then maybe if they're able to force on map 5, If they can get a series, if these teams can get a series to a map 5, like even Ultra in round 1 against OpTic, even Breach round 1 against Thieves, like if these teams can force a map 5, I like their chances to be able to win. Like that should be their goal. We just got to find a way to force a map 5, and anything can happen. I think this series is going to go map 5 as well, and I've got Ultra. I don't feel great about like eliminating Boston right away because I do feel like these two teams, like I said, they're teams that keep series close, and you know what's good about keeping series close is you get that game 5 experience, and you know, as underdogs, maybe you're not supposed to be there, and the other team maybe gets in the back of their head. If you force a game 5, you got that nothing to lose mentality as the underdog. But these are two teams that I think could cause some upsets this tournament, but I'm going to go with Ultra just because, once again, have a little more faith in their search and destroy and their teamwork and their togetherness. Boston being a little bit more of a new roster with Vivid coming in late. I don't necessarily feel super confident in this, but I mean, overall, don't feel super confident in making a bracket at all in Vanguard. Going up to the top, I know I said I kind of wanted to go bold in this tournament, and we've got FaZe Surge. I kind of hinted at it a little bit in the last podcast, but I was thinking about with the way Surge plays, I could easily see Surge losing to London, dropping down, losing to Subliners, and they're out of the tournament, and I would be the least shocked person in the world. But once again, this is Vanguard, and I'm going Surge 3-2 over FaZe. A lot of you maybe just clicked off the video. This is the first time watching. You think I'm an idiot. I don't blame you. This is probably an idiotic pick. But like I said, it's Vanguard. I can see a world where Surge beat FaZe. I can also see a world where this is London Royal Ravens and FaZe stomp them out off the stage in 30 minutes in a 3-0. I can see FaZe stomping Surge in a 3-0. The fact of the matter is, I've seen a lot of prediction videos. I heard like Nameless talking about it on his. I've heard like Merc and Maven talking about it. Like, how do you even predict this? It seems like the safest pick is to pick FaZe to win, but I never like to go safe. That would also mean these FaZe players go back-to-back. That's really never happened. I mean, players individually have gone back-to-back, but I mean, the closest we've really seen to a repeat is the Envy team in IW. They won BO3. They stuck it together, and then they ended up making the grand finals in IW against OpTic and kind of got stomped in that final, like, what, 6-1 map count. But, you know, that's really the only team we've seen get close to going back-to-back. And I was saying I'm not going to pick FaZe to make a final or maybe make some noise and win this one yet, but it's just tough to repeat. And Surge, they always play FaZe tough. What major that I was at when Mac got really sick, they had to bring in Nikki D for like certain maps and stuff later on, but like Mac got really sick mid-series. They end up going game 5 round 11 with FaZe and they lose it. They end up beating FaZe in the major 3 finals. Like Surge tend to play FaZe really well, and I think they play them well here, and I think I take them 3-2. And I know I'm going bold, but I want to make my bracket a little different. I don't want to just pick chalk. Like I said, there's always a shock team that ends up making winners finals or makes it to the top 4 at champs, and for me this time, I'm going to say it's Surge, but I'm definitely not counting FaZe out to make a run to the finals. All right, now that I shocked you all of you are calling me idiots in the comment, let's go down to maybe the premier match of champs, maybe the 2 biggest brands in OpTic and Thieves, Nadeshot versus Hecz. Scump versus Nadeshot. Thieves, probably you got to call them the hottest team right now in the CDL, considering that they're coming off a tournament win and nobody else is. And history tends to show that if you're coming off a tournament win, that bodes well for you at champs. Because of the fact that, hey, you know what, the tournament was only 2 weeks away. Like a lot of times in the past, it was like stage 2 playoffs or something like happened right before champs. And a lot of times, if that team doesn't win, they at least make a deep run because, you know, they're coming off a win just a couple weeks earlier. So they're probably one of the hottest teams and still like at their peak, and they're peaking at the right time. I think Thieves have a very good chance to win this. I also think OpTic have a chance to win this. I think this has a map 5 written all over it. Man, I kind of want to pick OpTic because, like, when I hear map 5 for these two teams, I have more faith in OpTic because I like their search and destroy more. But I also like the Thieves a little bit because of how hot I think they are right now. And I think for that reason, I'm going Thieves 3-2. And that seems like a really weird pick. I know it does, and I'm definitely not done with an OpTic run yet because I think OpTic also have a chance. Spoiler alert, I think probably OpTic or FaZe are going to make the final from loser's bracket. One of the two that gets eliminated down here in elim round 2, or in winners round 2, excuse me. Probably going to make the final. Spoiler alert for later in my bracket, but I wanted to pick OpTic here, like initially when kind of like thinking through how I was going to pick my bracket, but something is just telling me Thieves right now when I look at this matchup. And like I said, it's tough to go into analytics a lot here with Vanguard because, well, it's Vanguard and really things don't matter. That's why we've seen Toronto win the Kickoff Classic, to OpTic win Major 1, to Gorillas win Major 2, into Surge in Major 3, and then into Thieves in Major 4. And in the middle of that, we had the Pro-Am where New York randomly won it. Like, that's why we've seen no consistency, because it's Vanguard. Half the league is won an event if you include the Kickoff and the Pro-Am. So I think Thieves continue their momentum. I think this is a banger of a series. I'm not shocked at all if OpTic win this. I'm not shocked that we have an OpTic FaZe winners final. I think that's probably what most people are picking, but I like Thieves to win it in a complete toss-up match, in my opinion, so OpTic fans, don't kill me. Then we've got some absolute banger matches on the bottom half of the bracket here. We've got OpTic versus Subliners, Crim versus OpTic at Champs. I like OpTic in this one. I like OpTic in a 3-2 fashion. I know, like I said, we're picking a lot of 3-2s, but I like OpTic in this one. I really think that they're going to come out hot, firing in all cylinders. I don't think they want a top 6 finish. Obviously, nobody does, but I feel like overall they've been the better team, obviously, throughout the course of the year over New York, because New York has really only been good as of late, but I like OpTic to take this one in a 3-2 fashion. It's going to be a banger match, though. OpTic versus Crim is going to pull a lot of viewers, and man, if this is the losers bracket, this is exciting. There's some good teams down here. On the bottom part, we've got FaZe, Ultra. This is where I'm going to pick my 1-3-0. I'm going to say FaZe knock Ultra out 3-0, but I don't think it's a complete shoo-in. I just can't see FaZe finishing top 6, so it's really hard for me to pick Ultra. But if Ultra are able to, steal the map 2 search and find a way to win the control or that map 4 hardpoint, I always think, like I said, they've always got a chance. FaZe's search and destroy has been so shaky this year that if somehow Ultra are able to take 2 maps in the first 4 and force a map 5, I think there's a great chance they're able to win a map 5. I just don't think FaZe is getting knocked out top 6, even though they've been a little shaky all year. I can't see that happening. Then we've got OpTic FaZe. Loser finishes 4th, winner secures top 3. It's a tough one because, like I said, I think FaZe is the most likely team to win this tournament. I think picking them to lose and finish top 4, you are an absolute madman if you do that. And I'm a madman. I think I'm going to pick OpTic in a 3-2 fashion. Like I said, I have a feeling about like a couple teams in this tournament. I think FaZe, like I said, if I had to absolutely make the safest pick possible, I'm probably picking FaZe because they're the most consistent team, but they're not a fun pick, and I do think there's a world where they get beat because it's Vanguard. They haven't liked the game all year. They've looked so good most of the time except for in finals. They've been the best team except in finals all year. They're the most consistent team. You guys are going to flame me in the comments for eliminating this early, but sometimes you got to go bold, and you know what? 1 week from now, it's going to be Monday, Tuesday. I'm going to come back and look at this, and I'm going to see I really picked FaZe to get eliminated in 4th place, and they're probably going to win it, and then I'm going to look like an idiot, but at some point, I think Simp and Abezy's final streak has to come to an end, and maybe it won't, and maybe they're just unbelievable. I mean, they are unbelievable. Maybe they're just like untouchable, and even better than I possibly could imagine them being, and they're just going to make finals again and win it, but I got to go bold, and I got to make a weird prediction for champs, and I'm going OpTic Texas to beat FaZe 3-2. They're 5-1 against them this year. They have the 1 loss as of late, but OpTic's had their number this year, so I don't think it's wild to pick OpTic to beat them. Like, if I pick Thieves to fall down here, maybe I pick FaZe over Thieves and make them have a run, but I don't know. I feel like OpTic has been a buzzsaw all year for FaZe, and I think they're able to get the best of them here. Going up to the top of the bracket here, we've got the winners final, Surge Thieves. This is a weird one. Once again, because like obviously in all likelihood FaZe is probably in this. Like if you're picking a safe bracket, I've said it a million times that FaZe is probably in here, but I didn't pick them because I think Surge has their number overall. And like I said, we're going bold, we're going wild here. We're trying to pick the crazy perfect bracket. I like Thieves in the winners final over Surge, though. I think this is maybe where Surge's magical run comes to an end. I like them in a 3-1 fashion. I feel like this is a situation where Surge are going to take probably the search and destroy. I think I like Thieves to win in 3 respawns here, take 2 hard points and a control off them. I like Surge, but once again, I feel like their luck runs out here. I think there is a world where they win, though, because of Thieves' weak search and destroy, and I feel like Surge do have the advantage in that game mode. This is a series where I think it's going to come down to like if a Pred and a Sib can step up in the big moment. We've seen them do it before when they won an event, obviously, but if a Pred and a Sib can step up in the big moment and just like completely dominate the slaying category, maybe Kenny Stapes takes a step back again in the slaying department, and Surge are able to really take a hold of map 1 and win that hardpoint, I think the series flips on its head, and there's a potential that they win the map 2, and I favor them in it. But I think what happens here is Thieves come out, beat them in a map 1, Surge take the search, and then Thieves win in 2 straight respawns to win 3-1. But like I said, If this is a series where Surge come out and they punch Thieves in the mouth, win the opening hardpoint, I think there's a decent chance they also win the search, and then we're in a whole different ballgame if Surge are up 2-0. But I think Thieves are too hot. I think they're the better team, and I think they take this. Then we've got OpTic Texas versus Surge down in the elimination final here. Like I said, I think Surge's luck maybe runs out here, and I think OpTic take it. I'm going to go in another 3-1. Maybe we have a little bit of a more dull end to Saturday, and we have some 3-1s happen. But I like OpTic over Surge. Like I said, I think Surge have a chance to make a magical run. I just think that right now I like Thieves over them for sure, and I think if OpTic is to make it to this point where they've beat Subliners, they've beat FaZe, especially because this is something Merc, shout out to Merc and Maven on that Toronto Ultra podcast they're doing. This is something they pointed out and that I really like the point of. We're going to have these matches are all happening on Saturday, so this match happens at 3:30. This OpTic match, let's say they do win this like I had them winning it at 2 o'clock. The Surge play at 3:30. They would have lost. OpTic would be playing the 5 o'clock match against FaZe. So they're coming off a win against Subliners, a rest, a huge win against FaZe where they get a lot of momentum, and then they go straight into a match against Surge, who haven't played in 2 matches. Like they didn't play the previous match. OpTic did. They've been sitting, watch that match, and then they have to sit here and OpTic's completely warmed up. They play the next match, the following match, back-to-back on stage against Surge. And I think really whoever I think whoever wins this match for top 3 in elimination round 3 is going to win the elimination final. I don't know. I'm not saying it's OpTic. I'm not saying it's FaZe. I think whoever wins this is probably going to win this because they're going to be coming off a match, a break, a match, straight into another match. It's either the 3rd match of the day like the old tournaments, and they're just going to have a day of being hot and just coming firing on all cylinders, and that's why I like OpTic to win 3-1. But I kind of like whoever is coming out of that to win. Kind of a good point there from Merc that he made on the Merc and Maven podcast, or maybe Maven actually made it. But it was a fantastic point, and I kind of used that to my knowledge and my my favor here in my predictions. But I like OpTic 3-1, which sets us up for a rematch of our elimination round 2, and that's Thieves versus OpTic. I mean, I think the CDL would be drooling at this prospect because it's Nadeshot versus Hecz. Obviously, OpTic, the biggest brand in Call of Duty, versus Thieves, arguably the 2nd biggest brand with the face of Call of Duty for a long time in Nadeshot. And Thieves would get the veto advantage in this one because they're the team coming from winner's bracket. But we've never seen a team go back-to-back, so do I lean OpTic for that? Thieves are definitely the hotter team right now in terms of when we last saw them, but OpTic also made a good run to top 4 and showed some grit. Where do I lean in this series? I think you have to lean Thieves in control based on current form. Obviously, they get the veto, the 1 control, and the 1 hard point. I think they keep Berlin in, which really favors them, obviously, because they're very good at Berlin, and OpTic necessarily isn't. So I think Thieves get the advantage in a Berlin control. I also think, obviously, Berlin hardpoint stays in. I like Thieves on both Berlin respawns, so I think they get 2 maps there. I like OpTic in the search and destroys in general, though. Maybe not a Berlin, so I favor OpTic in the searches. I think this series comes down to hardpoint because really hardpoint and control, I guess, because I think it's more of a respawn heavy series because I think I favor OpTic. I mean, like, Thieves lost a bunch of the searches to New York in the last final and still ended up winning 5-3. I think they lost two of the 3 maps they lost, I think, were search, if I'm remembering that correctly. But they definitely like their Berlin respawns. I think they get 2 maps there. I think OpTic takes a majority of the search and destroys. And I think the hardpoints are the real toss-up. And if OpTic's control improves, I think if OpTic gets to the point where they're in the grand final, that does mean that their control has improved. I think they're maybe able to pluck a Tuscan control or the Gav control, whichever one they play that's not Berlin. So I like Thieves to win those 2 maps, so I'm going to pencil those in. I like OpTic to win at least 2 searches and then the 1 control that's not Berlin. I think I like Thieves to win another hardpoint, and then we're at 3-3, but I think I like OpTic to edge them out overall in the search and destroys and a couple extra hardpoints. I'm picking OpTic, and that looks weird if this is your first time. I know we're probably going to have some new viewers in this one because, you know, it's the hot time of year for Call of Duty. A lot of people are going to be looking for predictions on YouTube or on a podcast. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this and you see that I pick OpTic, I promise I'm not just a random OpTic fan who made a video. To me, this tournament's just so throw in the air. I'm picking OpTic 5-3. I can see a world where OpTic gets eliminated top 6 against Subliners. I can see a world where Thieves win this tournament and they beat OpTic in this final, or I can see a world where FaZe wins it. I can see New York winning it. Really, those 4 teams to me, I can see dark horse teams like maybe a crazy run of Ultra or Subliners because they're hot. I really think there's 6 teams that can win this. I just feel like something unexpected is going to happen because that's how Vanguard's been. I think it's tough to see Thieves go back-to-back because we haven't seen a single team do it. I think it's a little tough to pick FaZe to win it. The only thing that makes me doubt FaZe is because they haven't won this year, and typically if a team hadn't won at all going into a champs, you would never think about picking them in the past. It's just that FaZe has been so consistent with their second, third, and no team has been consistent in this game. That the one team that's been consistently good, at least, unlike, I mean, Paris was consistently bad, but FaZe are the one team that's been consistently good. So I get where people are coming from to pick them, but it is tough for me to predict them to win when they haven't won an event. I still think they're a safe pick if you're picking them. I'm not going to complain because they're a fantastic pick. To me, like I said, there are really 4 teams, OpTic, Thieves, FaZe, and Subliners, that I really like the pick. I don't hate a dark horse wild pick if you're going for the ultimate kill shot to pick Surge or Ultra. And then, I mean, if you're Breach or London, if you're picking them, you either got to be a fan of them or you're like a wizard and can see into the future if they end up winning. But that's it. I'm picking OpTic to win 5-3. I think it's completely wild. Like I said, OpTic might end up losing to Ultra in round 1 and then getting dropped and facing a weird matchup and like playing Boston and then having to make a run from there. This bracket might be completely wrong. We might look back at this and be like, why did I do that? Like, why did I pick these 2 teams that have been up and down all year? But that's Vanguard for you. It's wild. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Definitely comment down below your bracket predictions, because I legitimately think if we get Alfie down there picking Royal Ravens and we get some random Boston fan down there, we had a couple guys that are big Boston guys in the comments before. If we get somebody picking Boston down there, maybe we need like a Surge and an Ultra. Maybe we'll get Hecz to comment on Ultra. Just need one Surge guy, and then the other 4 will have people. We'll have plenty of people picking OpTic, plenty of people picking FaZe, plenty Thieves, even plenty New York. We got some New York guys that are always in there, some Ghost Subliners guys. So, man, comment down below your predictions. That's the number one thing I want to hear. I obviously want to hear that you guys liked the video and enjoyed and subscribed if you're not, but I really want to hear your predictions. I know mine are wild, so don't try to roast me too hard for them. But I really enjoyed making this. It's the final predictions of Vanguard. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Obviously, I'll be back next week with our reactions to champs. And then it'll turn to off-season content where we maybe do some more throwback COD content. Maybe we'll look into potentially doing some gameplay or something this summer as we get in the off-season. But I really, really appreciate you guys watching and the crazy support you showed in the last one. So that's going to do it for this one. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I really hope you guys enjoy champs this weekend because I'm off work. I'm just going to be soaking in champs and really enjoying my time watching it. So I hope you guys do that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.